Hi guys, so we are back with the Communication Toolbox episode 5. The last couple segments in this episode 5, we've talked about stress in our relationships. And today I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about active listening. I think it's a little interesting for me to speak about active listening. It's not something that I talk about with clients as much as I might have earlier in my career. But active listening is actually super relevant, and many people hear this phrase and they want to understand what it means. So most of this information that I'm going to go over with you on active listening is adapted from the Building Healthy Relationships training that I used to help co-facilitate way back 20 years ago in the onset of my career. So first off, let's talk about how do we even set up listening. When we have to have a serious conversation with other people, what are some of the simple things that we can do to make sure that the environment and everything is really conducive for us to be well heard, and for us to be able to listen very well. So first off, focus. We want to make sure that there is a great focus in the environment. So stop all non-relevant activities, limit possible distractions, establish a comfortable and an appropriate environment, position yourself appropriately close to the speaker. So when we want to really convey that we're listening to somebody, we want to really make sure that we are in a quiet space that's comfortable, that we are close enough body-wise and emotionally, psychologically, that we are really close to the person who is speaking to us. Second, we want to be prepared. So work through our emotions and thoughts about the situation, possibly work through the awareness wheel, which was one of the other tasks or tools that we discussed in a previous video in this communication toolbox. But really just having a chance to sort of get ourselves in the zone, prepared to hear what this person's going to say to us, especially if we anticipate we're going to talk about something hot or there is a bit of a conflict already stirred up. So if you're talking about moving, if you're talking about finances, if you're talking about a parenting difficulty, if you're talking about a budget, we know what we're walking into. We want to have some preparedness to manage our own emotions. Third, emote. So emote is just a nice way of describing showing emotion. So emote, be authentic in how we show our emotions without reacting to the situation. Connect with your feelings while respecting the interaction process. So again, we want to know, like, there's some hard emotions that show up. They tend to get us into trouble, like anger. There's a children's book that we have in the office here. I love this series. It's called Self-Help Books for Kids. And in the book titled Mad Isn't Bad, they describe that anger is useful like fire. But when fire is out of control, it can become dangerous. It shows a picture of a forest fire. But anger, like fire, can also be useful. Fire can also be useful for cooking food and things like this. So we know there's an appropriate place to show our anger, how we voice our anger without it being like a forest fire that's going to tear through the entire conversation. We want to have our feelings authentically, but we also want to hold them in a way that it won't distract our ability to listen and it won't distract our person's ability to speak. Final point here, being open. So be prepared to learn from the other person, come with an open mind, respect your own agenda as well as the other person's agenda. Now, I think this is really important, and I know for me personally, when I'm in some distress, it can be really hard to have that openness. So if I take a meeting with myself prior to a hard conversation and I remind myself to be open, or just be like, let's hear this person out. If I can soften myself internally, oftentimes that's one of the key pieces for active listening. So what is active listening? Active listening is really others focused, that we are really being focused on the other person. We want them to feel heard, understood, known. follow and understand the speaker as if you were walking in their shoes. So this is where that key of empathy starts to show up. Listen with your ears, but also with your eyes and other senses. We're really, really honing in, and we're acutely aware of this person and what they're saying. Non-competition. Let the other speaker speak without interruption or minimal interruption. One person in the driver's seat at a time. Don't agree or disagree, but encourage their train of thought. So we're just trying to really be open. Part of active listening, what feels good about it for the other party is that the listener is working very, very hard to prove and practice an openness. So we might say things like, ask questions, or for further clarification, could you tell me more about that? Wow, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that. I don't know if I'm getting you right here. Could you explain a little bit more? I don't know if I am quite agreeing with you. Can you talk some more so that I can understand more completely? Actively responding to questions and directions at the appropriate time. So again, attunement, being really a part of the actual sequence and the sensation of the conversation, the music of the communication. Use your body language to encourage the speaker and signal your interest. Ask for clarification and restate what the other person has said. So we might just say, am I hearing you right? Is this what you're saying to me just right now? So a lot of these tips are really basic, but it's always a good refresher. And when I'm trying to convey that I'm listening, these are some of the things that I naturally do as a psychologist in my job, as well as in my personal life. I don't always get it perfect. I still have conflict in my life, just like everybody else. You can ask my husband. So there's one more part on active listening, and I'm going to say that for fourth segment in our episode 5 of the Communication Toolbox. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye.